Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are celebrating a milestone. It has been a year, a full year since I have started this channel. Many things have happened, many weird, awkward moments of not knowing what to say in front of the camera, of being afraid that I might get cancelled or get mocked in the streets, but that hasn't happened yet, so I would consider this first year a success. And to commemorate with you this very important moment, I thought that I could answer a few of your questions. I asked you to send me a few of them on my YouTube channel, but I actually also got some on my Instagram account. And I'm going to answer them to you right now. So let's start because there is a lot to get to. Happy One asks me when is my birthday. My birthday is on October 15th. I am a Libra, very balanced, sometimes, a little bit undecisive, very focused on aesthetics and beauty. That pretty much sums me up. Dominika Turochova asks me why I don't post on Instagram. I would love to see your daily outfits and more daily life. I'm sorry, Dominika, I try. It's really complicated. Okay, YouTube is very much a huge sea of content, and it's not a social media platform where the algorithm is actually showing you to your friends. The algorithm shows what you are most interested in seeing. Instagram instead shows you the people who you might know, the people who are friends with the people you know. So it's a much more social and therefore much more personal social network. And that it just makes me very nervous and anxious. When I released my public Instagram profile and I started to post very few pictures, I started getting bombarded with a bunch of followers that I knew personally in life, and it made me feel really awkward and self-conscious, so I turned it into private. Then now that I have a few more followers, I turned it into public again, but I blocked all of my friends and family, sorry. So I'm still trying to get the hang of it and to accept it as a platform of content creation and not of social interaction. But I do want to get better at it. I do agree with you, is much easier to share daily, and especially if you're doing something that maybe isn't so interesting that you are going to do a whole video about, but you do want to share with an audience. I think it's the perfect platform to do that. And in fact, let me ask you, tell me down below, what do you prefer to see on Instagram? Do you prefer posts? Do you prefer reels? Or do you prefer stories? Because maybe I can organize myself to focus on one of those in the beginning, and then as I get a little more accustomed to the platform, I can start branching out. Let me know down in the comments below. Karine Hente asks me what is my fashion icon and brands that I love from Brazil. In terms of fashion icons, I do have a few. I love Constanza Pascolato. She is a very iconic fashion editor. She's been photographed many times in street style. I'll insert a picture of her here because you might actually recognize her. She is very much a symbol of Brazilian fashion. She is known as almost an ambassador of Brazilian fashion just because she's very well connected and she is a big figure in the industry. I love her style. I think she has a very classic yet glamorous aesthetic to her that I love. There is also Betty Lagardère, who used to be a fashion model. She also has that very precise combination of tropical, vibrant style mixed with timeless elegance that I adore. In terms of brands, I have actually been seeing a lot of new brands that I have really been loving. Of course, when we talk about Brazil, we think about swimwear, and I do think that if you're trying to find a good swimsuit or bikini that fits you, find a Brazilian brand because we do it like no other. For instance, Height, I really like. Adriana de Greas is great. Lenny Niemeyer is a beautiful swimsuit brand. There is also a newer one called pew that I think is gorgeous, beautiful. I also really love pieces from Vanda Jacinto. I think it is a beautiful aesthetic, amazing design. A lot of accessories design. I will leave down below a bunch of Brazilian brands that I love if I find their representation abroad, so you can shop them as well. Bridget Owen asks, why did you move to Milan? Do I work in fashion? And where do I want my YouTube channel to go and develop into over time? I moved to Milan with my husband. We got married and 2 weeks later we moved here, so it was really like that. We moved here because we had always wanted to live abroad. He had that experience a little bit before. He had managed to do high school abroad, but I didn't, and we have always really connected and identified with the European lifestyle, with the culture, with the beautiful setting, with the language. So when we finally managed to come here, given that my husband has a dual citizenship, we just jumped at the opportunity. I do work in fashion. I work for a really big retailer in luxury here in Italy. I work on the more digital aspect of the business, on the digital retail team, which means that I am responsible for brand partnerships and for commercial planning, for strategy, for forecasting, analysis. It's really, really fun. I think fashion is such a dynamic industry and you never get bored of it. I feel that it's a great place where you can express yourself and deal with beautiful things all of the time. I always say this, fashion is the kind of industry that even if you do the most boring part of it, it's still going to be a little bit more fun just because it's fashion. Where do I want my channel to go? Well, I wanted to become a thing. I want it to become a business. I would love to be able to dedicate more time to it. Right now, I do have a full-time job, which I also love, so I'm trying to balance those two things out. It's not very easy, but it's what I want to do right now. But eventually, I would love to maybe create more videos for you guys and be more present here, maybe create content that you haven't seen yet or that I haven't yet been able to try. I really love doing this. I started doing YouTube during quarantine when we were all bored out of our minds at home, not being able to go out, not being able to do anything, see anyone, and it turned into a very, very cool side gig that brings me a lot of satisfaction. I have this amazing community of you guys and it just makes me want to do more. I want to do more here. Echo Chic Muse, who is a very dear subscriber that has been a follower for a long time and always leaves the sweetest messages, asks, what is my daily routine and how much time do I dedicate to YouTube? So my daily routine is pretty boring. I wake up early at around 6:30 maybe. Then I have a cup of tea. I put on my morning skincare, then I start editing or I start replying to comments. I try to do YouTube things in the spaces that I have before and after my work day, just so that I am very disciplined and that I don't leave anything behind. I think that if you have this kind of project, it's very important to not let one of the balls drop, if you know what I mean. So I try to be very disciplined about that. Then at about 8:30 I start getting ready for the day, have my cup of coffee while I do my makeup. Then at around 9 I start working, finish work at about 6:30, 7. I will have dinner kind of early at 7-ish. Then I will probably watch YouTube or read a book or go for a walk, and then I go to bed. Very simple daily routine. I am not that exciting. So I would say that I dedicate time to YouTube. How much I dedicate? I dedicate basically all of my weekend and mornings and nights to YouTube basically. So someone else asked me, how do I manage to balance work-life relations? And there's your answer. I don't. Patricia Ottoni asks me, tips for work-life balance? I have none. Yeah. And a few life philosophies. Well, I do have a few life philosophies, such as Be a constant student, always be learning, always be excited and curious about learning new things. I think is a very important aspect of the human reality and very important to grow and to stay on top of things and stay current. I also think it's important to enjoy life. Not saying you have to spend all of your money to go to a 3 Michelin star restaurant, but when you are enjoying those types of moments, do not feel guilty about it. I also believe that people who wake up really early are usually, isn't there a saying? Wait. The early bird catches the worm. See, this makes total sense. I do believe that people who wake up earlier are more productive, are happier, feel more accomplished, get more done during the day, and sleep better. I really do think that. So be an early bird. Yolandi Bernard asks if I could share some bloopers from the last years or share some video ideas that perhaps I worked on and never published. I do have some bloopers, I think. I pulled out my coat and this had happened. But before we start, in terms of video ideas that I've never published, I actually did publish this video idea, but I took it down, which was why Milan is the best city in the world. The reason I took it down is because I feel like that video did not do justice to the city. It was one of my first videos. I was very kind of self-conscious. I wasn't really, good in front of the camera. I was still very not ashamed, but a little bit embarrassed, I guess, of people seeing that video and making comments about it, especially people that I knew. So I took it down because I felt like I didn't convey the message that I was trying to transmit. But I do feel like it needs to be done, so I might actually shoot it this year and make it like a 2.0 version, the best of Milan ever, because truly this is an amazing city and I do think that it deserves a content like that. Vanessa asks, best place I've ever vacationed, bathing suit or bikini, and what do I do in my downtime? Best place I have ever vacationed, I do have a few trips that to me have been very significant and very meaningful. First one was when I went to Paris and Cannes with my then boyfriend, now husband. We went to see my best friend who had moved to Paris and I hadn't been able to see her because it was super expensive to go and very far away from Brazil. So we spent time together. It was so cool. The fact that I had someone who I knew in the city made it even more special. She knew all of the best places. We had a really great time. And then we went to Cannes and we were celebrating our anniversary. So my husband got us the room at the very iconic Intercontinental. If you haven't watched How to Catch a Thief by Alfred Hitchcock, that's where they filmed that movie. And it was such an amazing trip. It was a great moment to be with my husband as well and to get closer and to make memories together. That was amazing. I also did a trip with my mom to New York, and I did this trip when I was a little bit older, so it was more of a girls trip instead of a mom-daughter one. And we went to the best places, went to Magnolia Bakery, oh my god, went to Broadway, went to Carnegie Hall. We did everything that we like doing because me and my mom have so much in common, but we're still very different people. So whenever we have a chance to do things together, we both have a lot of fun. Bathing suit or bikini, I think being a Brazilian, we take these matters very seriously. Bathing suit for lounging around the pool, for maybe going out to lunch and for practicing water sports, and bikinis for sunbathing. In my downtime, I like reading, even though I'm a very slow reader and I fall asleep while reading, so reading to me is a long-term investment. I also really like watching YouTube, like I said. I think it's a great platform. I much prefer watching YouTube than watching Netflix series or movies. I think YouTube is way more raw and you can choose the content that you're watching, and it's real people making content for real people. Even if it's a little more curated, a little bit more edited, it is still real. You know what I mean? Even if it's inspirational, I still feel like it's something that is attainable and not just fantasy. I also love taking strolls. I am very lucky to live in a beautiful area in the city with beautiful buildings and beautiful surroundings and gardens. So I like to walk around and sort of absorb all of the beauty around me. And then when I get home, I feel completely relaxed and ready to face anything that I have ahead of me. Michelle Duarte asks which movie character I would be. Oh, I love, you know that, what is it? Is it Charade? No, How to Steal a Million with Audrey Hepburn. I love her character in that movie. She has some moments, some fashion moments in that movie that have impacted me and my style in ways that I cannot explain. Her little car, oh, I love that movie. If you haven't watched it, put it on your list. Prata Jain, who is also a very, very dear subscriber. Prata always comments and always leaves the best messages. Thank you, Prata. She asks, how do I keep myself motivated? I am a person who responds to goals, to results, and to pressure. These three things move me like nothing else. So if I have deadlines, if I have awards, like something to look forward to, and if I have something to tick off my list. So for instance, I decided this year that I would post 2 times a week instead of just once. And last year that seemed like completely impossible, but this year, since I decided that that was going to happen because I wanted to get more views and more impressions and more subscribers, and I have seen that change, that has motivated me to keep doing it. So maybe finding goals that give you a little bit of a satisfaction each time will help keeping you motivated. The part of pressure to me is also very important, which is why posting twice a week has worked, because I don't have time to think about it. I don't have time to waste. If I have a deadline, I have a deadline, and that is it. Ilona asks how I met my husband. We met the old-fashioned way. We were introduced by a common friend. A dear, dear friend of ours went to college with me and to school with my husband, and she showed a picture of me to him and he was interested, so we met, and the rest is history. We've been together for 14 years. I know the internet has been a big thing about couples coming together, but if you're finding it a little bit too hard, get off Tinder, call a girlfriend and ask her if she knows someone. Don't knock it till you try it. Deborah Teba asked me if I am Brazilian. Yes, I am Brazilian. Shirian, Brazil. What do you miss most about it? I miss my family. All of my family is there, apart from my nuclear family who lives in Portugal. So I miss them very much. It's really hard when big family events, be them very happy or very sad, happen and you are away. It's a really hard thing to digest. You feel like you're missing out on big milestones. But the fact that we have the internet and we managed to call and to see each other on FaceTime and Zoom has been a big help. The fact that we had a pandemic for the last 2 years has been also very hard because we weren't able to travel. So the people is what I miss most. Not only the people close to me, but people in general, Brazilians are that bright and vibrant people that make you feel good. It's really hard to find someone who doesn't try to be nice to you or who isn't polite. Oh, the food. I also miss a lot of Brazilian food. In Brazil, you get a lot of variety, not only Brazilian food, but food from all over the world. So those, I think, are the two things that I miss the most. And Sone sent me a lot of questions on Instagram. Thank you, Sone. I will answer some of them. What did you study at university? I studied fashion and business. Is your family name actually his name, my husband's? It sounds balconies. My name is not my husband's, it's actually from my father's side of the family. It is Romanian / Moldavian / Ukrainian, so you're right about your assumption. If you guys don't know this, Brazil is a true cultural melting pot. We received a lot of immigrants from a lot of places during a whole period of time. So for instance, we have one of the biggest Japanese colonies in the world. We have a lot of Arabs, we have a lot of Africans, we have a lot of Italians, Germans, a lot of Eastern Europeans. So it's not unusual in Brazil to have a peculiar last name or a non-Latin last name, but my name is actually made up. My granddad, he fled Romania during the war. He went to Brazil and he was scared of getting caught, so he changed his last name. So the original name is more Moldavian than Ukrainian. I have a few friends who told me that my last name is very Ukrainian, but it used to have an ANU at the end, which is much more Moldavian, Romanian than Ukrainian. There you go. Did you watch House of Gucci? If yes, how did you like it, especially as a Milanese? I think House of Gucci got a lot of flack. I guess it's because they wanted to make it into a serious movie, when in reality it was more of an entertaining blockbuster movie. I would not watch it for a deep, thoughtful film. I would watch it just to have fun and enjoy myself. I heard a lot of people complaining about the Italian accents. It is true. They are kind of forced and too, thick. But the movie itself, it's really fun. It's not Schindler's List or Sophie's Choice, but I mean, it's a movie that I would watch if I felt like having a laugh. Wardrobe is great, soundtrack is really good. Do you like the theater and the ballet? I'm not a huge fan of the theater. I like musicals and I like opera, but the theater not so much, but I adore the ballet. I did classical ballet for 15 years. It is ingrained in my mind and in my body in ways that I cannot get rid of. And I feel like ballet can be such a positive experience to a young girl's or even a young boy's life. It teaches you discipline, posture, body language, respect, musicality. It's very cultured because you end up listening to music from Chopin and from Tchaikovsky, and it's a very bonding experience. I have friends that I met at ballet that have been friends throughout my whole life because it's kind of like a sport, really. I know people mock me when I say this, but to me, ballet is a sport. I mean, the stamina, the strength, the focus, the will, and having to do it on your toes, looking gracious and happy takes a lot. This is it, everyone. These were all of your questions. Thank you so much for sharing them, and thank you so much for just being with me through this time. It has been such an amazing ride. I am really proud not only of the content that I'm putting out, even though I know there is a lot of space for improvement, but I'm very, very happy with the community that we've built. I said this before, I think you are all amazing people, so nice. I was so afraid of being bullied online or of not being embraced, and you've just made me feel like I have a place here and that I'm not alone in the things that I like and in my interests and just all around life philosophy. So thank you so much for being so kind and so generous with your time and with your words. Keep them coming because, as you guys know, I love reading your comments, and And if you have any other questions, leave them down below so I can answer them in a future Q&A. If you have also technical questions about YouTube, I can try and answer them to you, which camera I use, how I edit my videos. Let me know. I am completely in favor of anyone starting a YouTube channel. It's a great experience. Thanks for coming with me to this ride. It has been amazing. Hopefully it'll grow into something that maybe we can do meetups one day. Maybe I can do a line of products. Putting it out there. Let's see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see each other again next time. Bye.